So you want to talk about one of the most jinxed franchises in Major League Baseball history. In this video, we talk about how the curse of the Billy Goat actually could have ended 13 years before it actually did. The Chicago Cubs team was in the midst of a very huge NL Central battle throughout the final month of September. It landed the Cubs with a division title and a shocking playoff victory, series victory over the Atlanta Braves, meaning that the Cubs, for the first time in 95 years, actually won a playoff series, and that was the 1908 World Series, the last time they won a series. So the question, of course, remains in everyone's minds: why did the 2003 Cubs not break the curse of the Billy Goat? And all that. We'll talk about that and then get the 2003 Cubs where they belong in the World Series against the 2003 New York Yankees. So buckle up. This will be very tight. You've got Jeff Diamond. You've got one man. You've got a hat, a bat, and that's definitely not all. You got the bleachers. Got it from spring to fall. You got a dog, a drink, and that umpire's call. What do you want? Let's play what if. Okay, Cutter, do some what ifs. Okay, Cutter, do some what ifs. To understand the Chicago Cubs, you have to go through the negativity of the Cubs franchise rather than the positives. I mean, the massive positives were that they were back-to-back World Series champs in 1907 and 1908, which was pretty good back in the olden days. They were the first team to go back-to-back winning World Series titles. No franchise did that before them, going back-to-back. However, the negative thing about the 1900s Cubs, the Cubs in 1908, was in 1906, they actually ended up winning 116 games out of 152. I mean, if you add the 10 extra games, they probably would have hit 120 wins. They couldn't beat the Chicago White Sox, who were known as the hitless wonders. They couldn't hit, but they could pitch, and they used their pitching to beat the Cubs hitters and give the White Sox the title in 6 games. The Cubs wouldn't go lightly and would win back-to-back World Series. But then after 1908 came some bad news. Some say the Cubs were even cursed in 1908 because of the fact that they got to the World Series by the factor of the Fred Merkle boner. To summarize, Fred Merkle hit a got a base hit, and then Al Bridwell hit a single to score the winning run. But Fred Merkle forgot to touch second base, which was customary at the time. He touched second base, then you're a fence runner and you're okay. But the Cubs saw that and then threw a baseball, and the umpire called Merkle out. But because of the overflow crowd and the fact that twilight was coming, they had to they had to postpone the game because of the fact that no stadium had lights. So anyway, the Cubs ended up winning the makeup game. Now, the Cubs and Giants game would not be makeup unless it was really important. But unfortunately, the Cubs and Giants were tied for first place, and the Cubs beat the Giants in the makeup game. Merkle would be saddled with the boner, but John McGraw would not let Fred Merkle have his sights. He kept him on the team. So regardless of that, the Cubs seemed jinxed to make the 1908 World Series because of that thing. And it bit them in the butt. 1932, they were in the World Series, but lost to the Yankees in 4 straight. No thanks to Babe Ruth's called shot. They went to the 1938 World Series and didn't do so well. 1945, they went to the World Series against the Tigers, but unfortunately, they ran out of magic. And that's where the curse of the Billy Goat happened. As tavern owner Billy Cyanis got 2 tickets, one for himself, one for his pet goat. Unfortunately, they didn't want the goat in. So Cyanis decided to curse the Cubs by saying that you didn't let my Billy Goat in, then this team will be made Billy Goats of. And the Cubs for years would have some major problems. That was probably the angry Cubs fans saying, stop bragging on my team. But the simple fact is that the Cubs were jinxed in 1969, they looked like they were going to the World Series or even win the NL East, the first time divisional rounds were made in the major leagues. However, a black cat strewed alongside the Cubs dugout and ruined the Cubs and all that. A lot of people said the Cubs were jinxed because they played too many afternoon games because with the Cubs not having any lights, they were the only stadium that did not have lights on, and the daytime games just wore out them. The Cubs had golden chances. 1984 was a fantastic chance. They won the NL East. They won their first, got to the playoffs for the first time in 39 years. They crushed the San Diego Padres in the first two games of the NLCS at home in the daylight, and then had to play three straight games in San Diego, a couple of night games in essence. And of course, Steve Garvey hitting that home run in Game 4 of the LCS, getting Don Drysdale to say, "And there will be tomorrow." And then, of course, the ball that went through Leon Durham's legs. People talk about the Buckner ball through the legs, but what about Leon Durham's ball through the legs? That was terrible. The Padres won that NLCS, and that may have gotten Major League Baseball to make it best of 7 for the LCS, meaning you had to win 4 games in the LCS instead of 3. Of course, that rule would hurt the Blue Jays fans in 1985 because the Jays were up 3 games to 1 and would have won the LCS pre 1985 rules. And it also would have made Ozzie Spiff's home run in Game 5 of the Cardinals Dodgers LCS more magical because that would have been a pennant winning home run. Nevertheless, the Cubs were jinxed. Of course, there was also talk about the Cubs having to play the World Series games in maybe St. Louis or at Comiskey Park because they want to put lights up. It took till 1988 to finally put up lights, but of course, the neighborhood were not too happy. 1989, the Cubs went to the LCS, got taken down by Will Clark, who was almost a one-man hitting crew. And then in 1998, they got to the World Series as a wildcard team the same year as Harry Carey's death, but they couldn't take care of the Braves. So the 2003 Cubs were a very fantastic squad, and we're hoping to do something to cancel the curse of the Billy Goat. But, of course, it would lead to another famous moment that ruined the Cubs and all that. And the Cubs franchise would have to wait another 13 years to get something big. And they won the World Series coming back from 3-1 deficit. So here's the story of the 2003 Cubs. So let's look at the 2003 Chicago Cubs. This was the 132nd season in the Cubs franchise, 128 in the National League and 80th at Wrigley Field. Dusty Baker came over from the Giants, where he almost won the World Series with the 2002 Giants, but they lost Game 7 to the Angels. It could have been easier if they had kept that 5-0 lead in Game 6, but they choked it. Cubs won 88 games and won the NL Central, and their first division title since 1989. Don Baylor was part of the 2002 Cubs, but they only won 67 games, and Dusty Baker got picked up by the Cubs. The Cubs would trade Todd Hundley and Chad Hermanson to the Dodgers for Mark Grudzielanek and Eric Karros. Big names, especially for the Dodgers. Eric Karros was a Rookie of the Year for the Dodgers one time. Todd Hundley would go on to be a good home run hitter for the Dodgers. Major Cummings, Aaron Smith, Trinidad Hubbard. So nothing really in the offseason that could help him out. The team's success could be the starting rotation. Mark Pryor, Kerry Wood, Carlos Zambrano, and Matt Clement, winning 13 games each. They had the strikeouts and all that. They actually made a very big trade deadline, getting Aramis Ramirez from Pittsburgh, Randall Simon from Pittsburgh, and Kenny Lofton from, I say the Yankees, but I'm probably wrong. But yeah, Kenny Lofton. They were 19-8 in September to win the NL Central. They had to face the Atlanta Braves in the LDS, the National League Division Series. The Cubs won Game 1, lost Game 2, won Game 3, lost Game 4, and then Game 5 in Atlanta, shocking Atlanta 5-1. And for the first time since 1908, they won a playoff series. They would go to the World Series against the semifinals against the Marlins. The Marlins won Game 1 in Chicago, but the Cubs put up 3 straight to take a 3-1 series lead. Florida won Game 5, and a lot of people were like, well, that's okay. The Cubs will win the championship on home turf. But then we all know what happened. The Cubs took that 3-1 lead into the 8th inning, but errors led to the Marlins getting 8 runs in that game. The win forced a Game 7 with Kerry Wood on the mound. The Cubs held the Marlins in check, but then the Marlins won 9-6, and the Cubs could not go to the World Series. There was a lot of national attention to the Cubs, positive and negative. On the one hand, their surprising regular season run and the top performance by their pitchers made the Cubs could be contenders for the foreseeable future. But they choked the 3-1 series lead in the NLCS, and the way they did it was lovable losers and a cursed franchise. So yeah, Houston and St. Louis were battling the Cubs for the NL Central. The Cubs survived. The Cubs were 4-2 against the Marlins in the regular season. Alan Bennett was actually sent to Texas by the Cubs. Sam Fuld was drafted. Tim Lincecum was drafted in the 48th round by the Cubs, but didn't want to go there. Mark Bellhorn was traded to Colorado for Jose Hernandez. It sucked because Mark Bellhorn then in 2004 would be another part of lovable losers, and that's the 04 Red Sox that won the World Series. Kenny Lofton and Aramis Ramirez from Pittsburgh to the Cubs for Jose Hernandez, and then the Pirates later traded Randall Simon to the Cubs. So Lofton was a Pirate. Okay. Anyway, they had Antonio M. Fonseca, the man with 6 fingers on his right hand, at pitcher. They had Joe Borowski, Matt Clement, Sean Estes, Carl Farnsworth, Mark Guthrie, Steve Ritchie, Mark Pryor, Mike Remlinger, Dave Ferris, Kerry Wood, and Carlos Sobrano, among others. The catchers Paul Bacco, Damian Miller, Josh Paul. Infielders Mark Bellhorn, Hubsart Choi, Alex Gonzalez, the former Blue Jay Gonzalez, Mark Grudzielanek, former Expo Lenny Harris, Eric Karros, Bobby Hill. That's my purse. I don't know you. Randall Simon, Tony Womack, even. Moises Alou, Tom Goodwin, Kenny Lofton, Corey Patterson, and Sammy Sosa were the outfielders, and Dusty Baker was the manager. So anyway, they had some great months, but September was the big clip. Moises Alou doing their job. Pitching wise, NLDS, the Cubs and Braves alternated until Game 5 when the Cubs won in Atlanta 5-1. Kerry Wood taking care of Mike Hampton, Alex Gonzalez, and Aramis Ramirez hitting home run. In the LCS, seeing the Marlins win the 11th inning. And then Game 2, the Cubs crushed the Marlins 12-3 prior being Penny. Game 3 in Miami, the Cubs needed an 11th inning run to win. Borowski beats Tahara Rumlucher the save. Game 4, the Cubs won 8-3 Clement over Dontrell, and it looked like it was over. Josh Beckett provided help with a 2-hit shutout. Sobrano could not finish the job. Actually, the game was scoreless till the 5th when Mike Lowell hit a 2-run home run. Pudge Rodriguez and Jeff Conine homered too. The Cubs didn't feel bad because, after all, they were getting Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood at home. And Game 6 happened. The Cubs were up 3-0 into the top of the 8th. A lot of things happened. One thing that didn't really get talked about was the fact that Bertie Mac may have jinxed the Cubs when he sang "Take Me Out of the Ballgame." He called them champs instead of cubbies and all that. But nevertheless, the Cubs were up 3-0 in the 8th inning, and then Mike Mordecai popped out to left field, so it was over. They were 5 outs away from the World Series. Pryor looked pretty good. Juan Pierre hit a double off of Pryor, no big deal. Then Luis Castillo came in, but on the 8th pitch of his bat on a 3-2 count, Castillo hit a foul ball towards the left field wall. Moises Alou headed towards the stands, and then many Cub fans actually reached for the ball. It was in the stands, meaning that, it was fair game for the fans. The ball bounced off Steve Bartman's hand and into the stands. They thought it was fan interference, but basically it left the field of play. So basically, that's there. Anyway, Castillo was an active batter, and then the next pitch he walked. Pierre got to third base on that wild pitch. So it was first and third. Pudge Rodriguez hit a ball to left field, singling the scoring Juan Pierre. Cabrera hit a ground ball towards Alex Gonzalez that would have ended the inning on a double play. But Gonzalez closed his glove a little too early, and the ball landed in the dirt, allowing Cabrera to get on base, loading the bases. Of course, Alex Gonzalez would take solace in pleading and basically saying that, he would take solace in the fact that he blamed Steve Bartman for it. When he bobbled that double play ball, he was all too happy to blame Bartman. What a piece of shit. And I wish he never played for the Blue Jays. Anyway, Derek Lee hit a double to left field, scoring Castillo and Rodriguez to tie the game at 3. Pryor was taken out of the game finally by Dusty Baker, replaced by Kyle Farnsworth to intentionally walk Mike Lowe. Jeff Conine hit a sac fly to right field, 4-3, no big deal. Yet you just have one more out. but Farnsworth would intentionally walk Todd Hollingsworth to face Mike Mordecai, but Mordecai hit a bases clearing double to make it 7-3. There was an RBI single by 1 PR off of Mike Roman Jr. to make 8-3. Well, anyway, Florida and the Cubs. It was a tight game. Marlins were up 3-0, and it was terrible. However, the Cubs got a 2-run shot by Kerry Wood to tie the game at 3. And the Cubs were at 5-3 in the third inning, and it looked pretty good. But in the fifth inning, the Marlins would capitalize, scoring 3 runs to make it 6-5, and they would win the game. So the Cubs just couldn't believe it. Kerry Wood lost it. And fans were all too happy to blame Steve Bartman, so much so he went into hiding for several years. Who was the guy? Bubba Booey imitated Steve Bartman to Sports Center and gave himself away by saying, "Do you like Howard Stern's butt cheese?" We've been had, says ESPN. Yeah, Steve Bartman at least got a chance for a ring. Bartman said he didn't want to cause too much trouble for the Cubs. But anyway, yeah. Let's see if the 2003 Cubs in real life could have, in simulation, could have taken the Yankees for what they had. All right, so the Cubs would face the Yankees. Now, the Yankees not only had the most wins, but because in 2003, the Major Leagues made the new rule because of the 2002 All Star game being a farce, that whoever won the All Star game would get home field advantage throughout the World Series. Well, the Yankees would have got it anyway, 100 wins. So David Wells started game one in real life, and this is the starting lineup. Well, Aaron Boone, I don't think was the starting third baseman. But anyway, yeah, the home team. I really wanted to see. Hold on here. Well, who else would have it been? Ivan Farah. Ivan Ventura played 253 bats and Boone. Yeah, I think Boone was the backup third baseman. So anyway, yeah, so we do this. Game one sees the Cubs win 12-8. Patterson hit a triple to score Gruzelanek, and Ramirez hit a RBI single to score Patterson. But then Soriano grounded out to score Jeter 2-1, and then in the bottom of the third, Sierra hit an RBI single to score Soriano, and then Soriano hit an RBI single to score Ventura, and Posada scored Giambi with a single. So it was 4-2. But in the top of the seventh, Damian Miller at catcher had a single to score Carroll's. Chris Hammond came in to pitch. I have his rookie card with the Reds. Grzelcyk hit an RBI single to score Gonzalez to tie the game. And then Ruben Sierra hit a 2-run shot off Kyle Farnsworth to make it 6-4 in a seemed like game set match. However, Eric Carroll's, who the Dodgers traded for Todd Hundley, hit a 2-run shot to tie the game. And Antonio Osuna came in to pitch. Damian Miller hit an RBI double to score Lofton. So 7-6. And then in the ninth, Carroll hits a 2 RBI double. Contreras comes in to pitch. Kenny Lofton hits a RBI double. Then Grzelcyk hits a 2 RBI single to make it 12-6. Sierra did hit a 2-run home run off Dave Fairs, but that was all she wrote. So yeah, Wells, Hammond, Antonio Osuna. Yeah, I said that. Juan Acevedo, Jose Contreras. The Cubs pitching Zambrano, Farnsworth, Remlinger, Dave Fairs. So game one goes to the Cubs. Zambrano, Matt Clement would pitch game two because Pryor and Wood would practically pitch game 6 and 7. They want to give them some time off, and they want to go to the Cubs. So it would be Pettit, right? Yeah, Pettit pitches game two. And in game two, the Yankees win 6-2. No scoring until the bottom of the third with J.C. Jumpy's RBI single. Cubs scoring 2 runs. Aramis Ramirez a double to score Sosa, and Eric Karros to score a single to score Ramirez. And then bottom of the fifth, Soriano hits a double scoring Jeter, but Giambi decided to go for home plate and gets thrown out. Posada got intentionally walked, and then Matsui hit an RBI single to score Soriano to make it 3-2 Yankees. And then in the bottom of the seventh, Posada hits a blitz double off Farnsworth to score Giambi. And then Mondesi off of Mike Remlinger hit a 2-run home run 6-2. Chris Hammond came in to pitch because it was not a safe situation and got Lofton, Miller, and Grzelcyk out. Had to pitch 8 strong innings. Clement did okay for 6 innings, but not that. So 1-1 on to Cubby Town. You lose the DH and all that. So the Yankees go with, I believe, right? Yeah, Messina. The Cubs go with Mark Pryor because he pitched game 6. Yeah, so they go with Mark Pryor. And it didn't work. The Yankees win 5-3. Despite the Cubs getting Sosa 3-run home run off Moose Messina. Cub fans are joyous. Bernie Williams hit an RBI single in the second to make it 3-1. And then in the third, Posada hits a double to score Giambi, and Bernie Williams hits an RBI single for Posada. Then Soriano in the fourth single to center to score Mondesi. And then Mark Pryor boots a grounder, and Posada reaches on the air to score Giambi. 5-3. All the way to the bottom of the ninth. Mo Rivera came on. Miller strikes out. Randall Simon comes in, the pinch hitter, gets a single, but Grizzlanic hits into the DP. Pryor went 6 innings in Farnsworth 2, Remlinger 1. Messina 7 2/3. Chris Hammond pitched the last out of the 8th before giving Rivera a chance for the save. And that would be Clemens' turn. Clemens versus Wood. 2 Texas Fireballers. And that would go to the Yankees 4-1. Matsui hits an RBI single, scored Jeter and Soriano. And then Jeter, RBI double score Ventura, Giambi, RBI scored Jeter. So 4 runs. All 4 runs were in the first few innings. The Cubs would be. Osuna entered the game to pitch. Miller lined out. Lofton came in to pinch hit infield single. Grizzlanic walk. Mo Rivera came in for a save situation. Alou strikes out. Sosa RBI single, but Patterson strikes out swinging, and Mo Rivera gets another save. Wood 7 innings, Farnsworth 1, Remlinger 1, Clemens, Hammond, Osuna, and Rivera. So the Yankees are up 3-1. So the Cubs go back to Zambrano, and the Yankees go back to Wells for game 5, which sees the Yankees crush the Cubs 9-4 and ruin the Cubs' pipe dream of winning the World Series. So the Yankees would have won the World Series anyhow. Although Grizzlanic did hit a home run off David Wells, and then Posada hit a 2-run home run in the second. Alou had an RBI double score. Zambrano and Grizzlanic make it 3-2. But then in the 5th, Soriano RBI single to score Jeter, and Bernie Williams gets a bases loaded walk. 4-3 until the top of the 8th. Remlinger comes in the pitch, and Jeter hits a fly ball to right field. Giambi strikes out. Soriano strikes out. Posada walks. Alfonseca comes in to pitch. Matsui hits it single to make it first and second. Birdie hits a single to score Posada. Ventura walks. Kareem Garcia comes in to pinch hit and hits a 2 RBI single to score Matsui and Williams. Faye Ferris comes in, Mondesi singles, and then Jeter hits an RBI single to score Ventura. So it was 9-3. Well, Eric Karros gets up, but in the 9th, Miller's grounded out. Dave Lofton came in to pinch hit, grounded out, and then Grizzlanic strike 3. Yankees win the World Series 9-4. So the Yankees would have won the World Series in the first place. So yeah, Alfonseca, yeah, infinite ERA on that one. Wells, Hammond, Osuna, and Acevedo. Acevedo's from Mexico. So yeah, so the Yankees crushed the Cubs in 5 games. So the pipe dream is not happening for the Cubs. I'm sorry. Good day, sir. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.